I'm not a religious person, but there is one quote that has always stuck with me. God created the heavens. He created the earth. He created all the Hulkamaniacs. Then he created a set of 24-inch pythons, brother. Amen. If you're a big fan of the WWE 2K series, buy every yearly edition and you are looking for a detailed review of the WWE 2K25 on Nintendo Switch 2, I'm afraid this isn't the video for you. But being that this game already came out on other systems back in March, I suspect that you've either already played this game for probably hundreds of hours, or have at least watched, listened to, or read multiple professional reviews already. Maybe you're here just wondering if the Switch 2 version is good. As far as I can tell, it runs noticeably better than the PS4 and Xbox One versions, and is competitive with the PS5 and Series X if you squint a bit. Frankly, that's impressive, but again, there are other channels better equipped to help you determine if this particular version is the one for you. No, this episode is more of an essay or descent into madness for a lapsed WWE fan who grew up as a card-carrying Hulkamaniac in the 80s, played the heck out of multiple really cool wrestling games in the 90s, and was actually really looking forward to finally putting on my Ultimate Warrior swimming trunks, doing the bushwhacker dance, and getting back into wrestling for the first time in forever. And then the curse of modern AAA gaming slowly sucked out every last drop of enthusiasm that I had. I'm not here to tell you not to buy the game, but again, I have a feeling that most diehard fans have already bought it anyway. But perhaps a percentage of people listening will be like me, a casual ex-wrestling fan looking for something new to play on their shiny new Switch 2 console and considering if maybe now is the time to get back into the ring. Well, brother, what you gonna do when microtransactions pay to win and a $200 price tag run wild on you? We'll dive into it after I read the podcast intro. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. I need cheering up. This entire journey has been an absolute trip. Hi everyone, welcome to Daily Switch 2, a podcast covering everything related to the Nintendo Switch 2, with at least one new episode or video uploaded per day to YouTube, Spotify, and your favourite major platforms. My name is Sam. I've been a gamer since the 80s. I've worked in the entertainment industry since I was a teenager, including as a games journalist, producer of gaming documentaries and shows, and I'm even programming multiple video games, including 4, which will be released on the Switch and hopefully Switch 2, so be sure to subscribe and follow the show for the world-exclusive news on those as they drop. However, I'm a gamer and Nintendo fan at heart, and this podcast is purely a passion project for me to talk about the stuff that interests and excites me about this new system. It's not monetized or funded by any entity. It's completely unofficial and unbiased so that I can give my full, frank, honest opinions. So if you want to support me or just find out the best places to get these free daily episodes, or to join our free members area where you can talk to me and leave suggestions and take part in monthly free giveaways to win official Nintendo prizes, all links are in the bio and at linktree/dailyswitch2. That's linktr.ee/dailyswitch2. Thank you so much. And back to the episode. Negativity and Hulkamania, two things that don't go together, says the quote. That played out well, didn't it? Well, okay, let's just start with the facts before we move on to some fun, reminiscing, and good old-fashioned warm, fuzzy nostalgia. 23rd of July, WWE 2K25 releases on Switch 2. As I said, I'm not going to do a full review, nor will I give a rating for reasons I'll get into, but I want to at least talk about it because I think there are some interesting things to say about the game and WWE in general. I assume that everybody will know, but this is a sports game, American professional wrestling, i.e. the scripted soap opera melodrama-esque theatrical wrestling rather than the competitive sport. Not to take away from the actual sportsmanship of the performers, of course. It's absolutely incredible what those guys and gals put their body through to entertain their audience. It's developed by Visual Concepts and published by 2K Games. Obviously, it's not an exclusive. It already came out in March for PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Series SX, PC, but not Switch One, notably. Now, my history with the WWE is potentially interesting to discuss. When I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, it was arguably as big as it has ever been. The days of Hulkamania, The Ultimate Warrior, The Undertaker. Back when it was still WWF, not WWE, which, as someone whose family donated to the World Wildlife Fund and had panda stickers on all their car windscreens, that was somewhat confusing, but I was always a kid that was a little turned off by overt, exaggerated masculinity in the media at the time. Things like He-Man, Schwarzenegger movies, and yes, the WWF, where you were looking at big, muscular men with their shirts off. It often confused me as to why they were popular with boys, but it was considered strange for me to watch things with pretty girls like Sailor Moon or whatever. I don't know, it always seemed a little backwards. No judgment, you like what you like. But I also wasn't the biggest fan of violent sports like boxing, etc. But I knew that WWF was popular and considered cool, and through my friends at school, I actually soon picked up the knowledge of the popular characters and their gimmicks, and I soon actually understood that they were more like exaggerated archetypes, doing cartoon-esque pantomime violence a la Tom and Jerry, and I got a little more into it, in the same way that I would get super into Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter just a few years later. I love those kind of crazy archetypy characters and exploring the differences between them and seeing them match up. But I was never really that interested in actually watching the matches, and my parents couldn't afford satellite TV to watch them anyway, but I did get into the characters, at least enough to join in with conversations at school, and I actually have very fond memories of collecting WWF Superstar cards, and the action figure toys were really awesome too. And where I really became interested was the video games. Now, don't get me wrong, there are many, many terrible WWF games, especially in the 8 and 16-bit era. But the ones that got it right, got it really right. And those exaggerated pantomime hero and villain archetypes with colourful costumes and unique gimmicks really perfectly suit the video game formula, if you think about it. Our school would take a bus trip to the local swimming pool every once in a while, and it had WWF Superstars, the 1990 arcade cabinet, and the kids would all crowd around. And it was later upgraded to the 1991 WWF WrestleFest machine, the sequel, considered by many to be one of the best arcade games ever made. I'm not sure I'd go that far, but it's really, really fun. In 1995, I was one of the lucky few kids who actually had a Sega 32X. Yes, I said lucky. I know history remembers it as a failure, but at the time it was awesome. And for its very brief lifespan, I was the envy of my friends. And I picked up a copy of the 32X version of WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game, an Acclaim-released wrestling game with digitized graphics that played more like Acclaim's also home ports of Mortal Kombat than a traditional wrestling game. And you know what? That game was great fun, and crucially, noticeably better on the 32X than the 16-bit version, so I was happy with my purchase. Years later, I was trying to impress a girl that I was dating. I went round her house pretty much every day, ate dinner with her parents, tried to become a part of the family. Didn't really work, but her younger brother was a big gamer, and I bought favor by buying him games. He loved Pokemon, and I even imported the American versions of Gold and Silver before they were released in the UK, so he could have playground bragging rights to have the game before everyone else at his school. I gave him gold, and I kept silver myself so we could both play the game, and he'd have someone to trade with. Brownie points, for sure. The other game that we played a ton of together was WWF SmackDown 2. He had a PlayStation and was a big WWF fan, and I managed to pull a favor again with my friends at the local indie game store and got the game a week early. Again, I was their hero of that week. As someone who was personally more an N64 and Saturn guy, I remember being pretty impressed with SmackDown 2 on the PlayStation, though Personally, for me, the best wrestling game ever made is probably WWF No Mercy on the N64. Now that is a game. But over time, I got less and less interested in WWF/WWE as all the wrestlers that I knew about retired, or I was being busy with my career, my kids, just life in general meant I had no time to watch sports. I stopped watching football as well. As a predominantly Nintendo guy, I've been very aware of the previous controversies surrounding the WWE 2K games on Switch 1, so any interest that I might have had to play them just disappeared. However, in recent times, I've become more interested in WWE again. During lockdowns, when I started getting back into developing my own games, I started listening to the CU podcast, going back and starting from the very first episodes, having it as background noise while creating pixel art, etc. Listening to Pat and Ian go very quickly through the various phases of caring and not caring about wrestling, approving or not approving of different decisions, having them chronicle the ups and downs of the good and bad things that happened throughout the last decade, and giving me a lot more context to fill in the gaps, I actually started to get more interested in potentially getting back into it, especially now that Vince McMahon is out and I can feel a bit more comfortable giving them my money. What really whet my appetite, however, was the video essay, The Unreality of Pro Wrestling, Finish the Story, by the incredible Super Eyepatch Wolf. Good Lord, even if you have zero interest in wrestling, that is an incredible video that will make you care about wrestling. It is highly, highly recommended. So, I started feeling in the mood to maybe play a WWE game. WWE 2K25 already came out a few months ago, like I said, on the other consoles, and a quick glance at the reviews shows a pretty good response, with many 8 out of 10 and 3.5 to 4 out of 5s, generally considered better than previous entries. Sure, the Switch 1 versions of the 2K games had issues, like I said, but presumably the extra power of the Switch 2 means that this is less likely to be an issue, so I was seriously considering getting into this. In fact, I'd planned to buy it and give it a full review. But I haven't bought it, and I won't be reviewing it. I'm sorry. If you've listened this far, you might feel that I've wasted your time, but if you're a die-hard WWE fan, I imagine you already bought this game elsewhere anyway. Or even if you were waiting to play it on Switch 2, you'll have probably already checked out a million other reviews released weeks ago. What I will say is that looking at all the graphic comparison videos online, it looks like the Switch 2 has a really good version. The graphics look noticeably closer to the PS5 version than the PS4, which is pretty amazing for a portable system. And as I mentioned, the other versions of the game are already out and have good reviews, so I'm pretty confident that this is a good version of a good game. So, why am I not buying it? Well, for starters, as far as I can see online, the physical version is a code in a box. Ew. The trailer said gain keycard, which was bad enough, but it seems that they changed their mind last minute, presumably realizing that the public doesn't really seem to like them very much, and therefore paying the extra for the keycards isn't actually even worth it. And the price for the code in a box? $70. Ouch. But that's not even the worst of it. That $70 just nets you the base version, and I'm sure that fans of the series know where this is going, but this was a genuine surprise to me. For $100, you get the WWE 2K25 Deadman Edition. This edition celebrates the legendary Undertaker and contains the Wyatt 6-pack Deadman Edition bonus pack, season pass, and bonus virtual currency. So really, if you're a big WWE fan, which you would be if you're willing to pay $70 for a code in a box, you really want to actually fork out $100 for this Deadman Edition. Oh, wait, what's that? For $130, the Bloodline Edition includes the Bloodline Edition bonus pack, WrestleMania 41 pack, the Rock NOD pack, and Ringside Pass, which includes the Season Pass plus bonus currency, plus 5 post-launch DLC characters, Supercharger, Superstar Mega Boost, and My Rise Boost, whatever all that means. So, if you want everything, including stuff that actually sounds pretty darn unmissable for a real WWE fan. Last thing I heard, WrestleMania, The Rock, The Undertaker were all pretty important, LOL. Plus more characters, gameplay stat boosts that you will probably need to compete if you want to have an even playing field online. It's $130. Jeez, I can't believe... Oh, wait, what's that? None of this DLC comes with the boxed version, so if you want to have a boxed version to display on your shelf, you need to buy the DLC separately, and when you add it all together, it's $200. Jesus Christ. And you'll need to download it, of course. The base version takes up 73.2 gigabytes without the DLC. If a 256 gig memory card is $60, the 73.2 gigabyte therefore equals $17.16 worth of storage that will be taken up by the game. And don't forget, that's more once you factor in the DLC. And while it does have pretty good reviews overall, diving more into them, I can see many people mentioning heavy use of microtransactions in the game, including pay-to-win mechanics, as I suspected by the names of some of those DLC bonuses. So you boost your stats by paying more, not just cosmetic changes. And it seems possible that if you pay more, you can get to the point impossible or close to impossible by actually playing to progress. And I'm out. Literally 0% hype left. I went from genuinely planning on buying and dedicating a real chunk of time to giving a full, balanced and fair review, taking time away from my beloved Donkey Kong Bonanza, actually excited to finally get back into WWE and relive some of my childhood and teenage years, to up this game and up this company and up the modern AAA gaming business practices. I am a huge fighting game guy. I mentioned earlier that I was really into Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter when I was younger, but what I didn't mention is that my fandom runs to the point that throughout my life I have owned and restored countless arcade cabinets. I have played Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Mortal Kombat 2 and Dead or Alive 2 semi-competitively. But that's a difficult word to say. But I hate how in modern times one-on-one fighting games charge extra money for extra characters, extra skins, extra costumes, season passes if you want to have them all, and I've been burned by multiple games employing these tactics to milk me dry if I actually want the full roster. Street Fighter, Dead or Alive, even frickin' Pokken Tournament. This kind of pricing model plus microtransactions plus pay to win means that I have zero interest in this game anymore. Perhaps fans already expect this. Perhaps 2K24 and 2K23 were exactly the same, and this year is just how the industry is. I don't know if $200 plus microtransactions is what WWE fans just expect to have to pay every year. I don't know. I'm out of the loop. But I was genuinely interested and excited to get back into that loop, until I learned the full scope of what that would entail. 2K Games haven't yet announced the release date, details on a physical release, or pricing strategy for Borderlands 4, but Randy Pitchford was asked about $80 pricing and said, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. Sure, it's Gearbox, but publishing through 2K, and if they pull the same ish here, that is another game that takes me from genuinely interested and looking forward to it to I could not care less and I refuse to support this. And that is a real shame. So how do you feel about all this? Are you going to buy the game despite all of this? If you do, I genuinely hope you enjoy it and you feel like you get your money's worth. I don't want to rain on anyone's parade. Do you have memories of old wrestling games or the WWF days? I'd love to hear about it in the comments down below. Or come join our free members area where you can chat to me and enter our free competition to win 6 cool Nintendo Gacha prizes this month. Linktree/DailySwitch2, linktr.ee/DailySwitch2. I genuinely hope to see you there. For now, I'm going back to play Donkey Kong Bonanza, where my $70 gets me the full game on the full cartridge, and I earn my in-game currency and unlock new costumes and customization by actually playing the game and getting good at it and having fun, not by opening my wallet. Later.